Hi, YouTube. It's Mike from Kane Autograph. If you're into autographs, collecting cards, or blind trades, you're in the right place. This week I've got 13 returns, including one for the Battle of the Teams and a Baseball Hall of Famer. Let's dive right into those returns. First return, 3 of 3 in 18 days from Ron Kittle. Kittle played primary for the Chicago White Sox and was one of the big power hitters of the 80s. He won the American League Rookie of the Year award in 1983 after blasting 35 home runs, driving in 100 RBIs for the famous Winning Ugly White Sox teams. Over his 10-year career, he had 176 home runs, playing for teams like the White Sox, Yankees, Indians, and Orioles. Jim Mora returned 2 cards in 18 days. He is one of the most recognizable coaches of the late 80s and 90s. Coached the New Orleans Saints for over a decade. Later coached the Indianapolis Colts with young Peyton Manning. Before that, he also dominated in the USFL, winning 2 championships with the Philadelphia/Baltimore Stars. One of the coolest things about his career is he completely changed the culture of the Saints. Before he arrived, New Orleans had never even had a winning season. Then in 1987, he led them to their first playoff appearance in franchise history, won NFL Coach of the Year. A lot of fans remember him for his legendary press conference moments. Probably the most famous was his playoffs rant while coaching the Colts. Next up, a 3 of 3 return in 18 days from Doug Smith. Smith played in the NFL from 1978 through 1991, spending his entire career with the Rams organization. He played both center and guard, which says a lot about his versatility and toughness during that football era. One of the cool facts about Smith is he's part of some outstanding Rams offensive lines of the 80s. After becoming the starting center in 1982, the Rams made the playoffs 6 times during his career as a starter. I asked him the question, what is something the fans don't understand about playing the O line? He replied, O linemen are the best teammates. Here is my lone point for the Battle of the Teams. Damian Hunt, 101 in 51 days, and he was a defenseman who was originally drafted by the Wild in the third round of the 2020 NHL draft. One thing I like about his story is he worked his way up through the WHL with the Moose Jaw Warriors, eventually becoming team captain. Chris Singleton, a 2-2 return in 17 days. Singleton was a first round draft pick in the 1990 NFL Draft, selected 8th overall by the New England Patriots after playing college football at the Arizona Wildcats football program. Singleton is being drafted 8 overall just shows you how highly teams viewed him coming out of college. First round linebackers in that era were expected to be physical, smart, and capable of leading a defense. Anthony Carter, 2-2 in 17 days. Anthony Carter was one of the most exciting playmakers of the 80s and early 90s. Before starring in the NFL, he became an absolute legend at Michigan Wolverines football program, where many fans still consider him one of the greatest players in school history. Cool fact, Carter finished third in the Heisman Trophy voting in 1982 as a wide receiver, something extremely rare at the time. He was also so important to Michigan football, the school eventually retired his number 1 jersey. 19 days, a 2-2 return for Mike Paul. Mike Paul was a pitcher in Major League Baseball in the late 60s and 70s, spending times with teams like the Orioles, the Indians, the Yankees, and the Cubs. Cool fact about Mike is he pitched during an era loaded with legendary talent and powerhouse teams. One of the highlights of his career came in 1971 with the Cleveland when he had one of the best seasons as a starting pitcher. A 3 of 3 return from Greg Gagne in 19 days. Gagne was part of the great Twins teams playing in the Minnesota from 1983 to 1992. He was known for his defense, leadership, clutch moment during those championship years. Main reason I sent to Greg is I found this card with Andre Dawson sliding into second, and I want to send that off to Dawson next and see if I can get it dual signed. My next return from Ty Wallner, 2-2 in 26 days, and he added his signature on that Future Stars car along with Jay Howe. Carlos is no longer with us, so that card is done, but it's nice to have that dual sign card in my collection. Ty played for the Cardinals, the Cubs, the White Sox, and the Astros. Interesting fact about Ty is he was part of that trade that connected Hall of Famer closer Bruce Sutter. After the 80 seasons, the Cardinals sent Waldner to the Cubs as the player to be named later in the deal that brought Sutter to St. Louis. A 2-2 return in 28 days from Troy Broman. Broman pitched in the big leagues from 2001 to 2003 with the Diamondbacks, the Giants, and the Dodgers. Before reaching the majors, he had an outstanding college career at Nebraska, where he went 13-0 in 1993, set a school record with 123 strikeouts. He's a pretty good hitter for being a pitcher, batting .329 while batting first base. One of the coolest facts about Mike is he earned a World Series ring with the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks, and even better for him, he actually got to pitch in the World Series against the Yankees. Next is a really cool football return from former NFL linebacker Shane Conlon. 3-3 in 136 days. And Shane started at Penn State, where he's part of two national championship teams, became one of the best linebackers in school history. He was a two-time All-American and later made the College Football Hall of Fame in 2014. One of the biggest moments from his college career came in the 1987 Fiesta Bowl against Miami for the national championship. He had two interceptions in that game, including a huge return that helped set up the game-winning touchdown in Penn State's upset victory over the Hurricanes. Next up is a great baseball return from former NFL All-Star pitcher Matt Clement. Clement pitched in the majors from 1998 through 2006 with the Padres, the Marlins, the Cubs, and the Red Sox. Finished his career with over 1,200 strikeouts and was known for having electric stuff, a heavy fastball, nasty slider that made him tough to hit when he was on. One of the coolest moments of his career, 2003 in the playoffs with the Cubs, he picked up the win in Game 4 of the National League Championship Series against the Marlins, putting the Cubs just one win away from that World Series. Kind of a wild stat, though. Even though he had great strikeout numbers, he also led the leagues in walks and wild pitches multiple times. And ending things off with my favorite return this week, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest Minnesota Twins players of all time, Tony Oliva. A 1-1 of 91 days, and usually he's charging a fee. I took a shot and I just sent this card to spring training, and it took 91 days and it came back. Tony Oliva played his entire career with the Twins from 1962 to 1976, one of the best pure hitters of his era. Won the American League Batting Championship 3 different times, was the 1964 Rookie of the Year. Cool fact about Oliva is that he led the league in hits for 5 times. Such a respected hitter, Rod Carew once said Tony was one of the best natural hitters he had ever seen. That does it for this week's returns. Thanks for spending time with me and watching my video. Hit that like button, tell me which one was your favorite, and we'll see you again next week.